There's a strange paradox in modern life, this quiet, invisible tension between who we are and what we appear to be. A tension that lives everywhere in classrooms, offices, family dinners, and even digital timelines. It's the performance, the mask, the curated self we offer to the world. We live in a society that praises authenticity. Be yourself, they all say, but only if yourself is acceptable and profitable. And so we perform. And performance, at its core, it's not just music or theater or standing on a large stage. It's smiling when you want to cry, and it's showing confidence when you're collapsing inside. It's showing emotions that aren't necessarily ours in that moment just to earn approval of others while slowly betraying our true selves. And this is where masking comes in. Masking it's a conscious or unconscious suppression of one's true thoughts, emotions, or behaviors to fit in. And it's most often discussed in the context of people who are neurodivergent, like autism or ADHD. Yet let's be real, we've all masked before. We shrink our identities, we filter our personalities and opinions just to earn the approval of others. And here's the thing, when you mask long enough, the lines between who you are and what you appear to be to others begin to blur. This is where your self identity begins to fracture. You begin to forget whether you're dressing this way because you like that style, or if you're dressing that way because it's trending on TikTok. You forget whether you're laughing because you genuinely find the joke hilarious, or if you're laughing to make others around you comfortable. And the worst part is when people begin to applaud the mask, your performance. But are they really complimenting your confidence and composure under pressure, or are they really just complimenting your ability to hide your true self? And that's why the phrase, what I am is not who I am, is more than poetic. It's a silent protest, it's a reclaiming. Because identity isn't just built, it's performed, it's masked, edited, curated, and sometimes buried beneath the expectations we've never agreed to. And maybe, just maybe, the best thing we can do is to unmask, not to be raw all the time and not to reject every performance, but to remember who we are when no one's watching. After all, who are you when the performance ends? While it's amazing to have goals, ambitions, and dreams, we often expect too much from ourselves. A lot, actually. And in a world that glorifies like hustle, like being a perfectionist, and curated personas, this expectation to live up to can often feel more like a requirement than optional. And we've often been taught, especially without words, that our worth is conditional. Conditional on what we do, how well we perform, and how well we play the roles that have been assigned to us. And this is what many psychologists call perform based identity, a self worth that is entirely dependent on our output. And so we learn to earn love, to earn belonging, to earn connection, and earn safety, but by performing. If you get an A, you're brilliant. If you make varsity, you're a genius. You crush that work presentation, then you're finally enough. But if you miss a step, come in third or second or even fourth, your whole identity begins to just crush and become fractured. And unfortunately, this is where the cycle begins, the high of praise, followed by the crushing fear of not repeating that same success. And we turn into hamsters like on a wheel, just exhausted, but we're not able to stop running because each success becomes a new baseline and each new win becomes our new minimum. This is what many call the performance trap. And if we fall short of these unrealistic standards of ourselves, we feel defective, we feel broken, not just like we've let down others, but we've let down ourselves. Andre Agassi described it perfectly. After losing a match at the age of 7, his father's rage wasn't just felt, it was absorbed, internalized, and eventually replicated. Quote, from this day on, I can do it myself, he wrote. And that's the thing about a performance based identity. You begin to internalize, to absorb every negative voice or critic around you. You even begin to adapt it as your own, but you don't have to. So then, what happens when the applause fades? When you're not being congratulated anymore? When the external factor that completely drove you to do what you did, You're left wondering, who am I without the show? And then there comes in perfectionism. Perfectionism, it's like the gasoline, the fuel to our performances and masking. Perfectionism is often mistaked, in my opinion, as coming from ego, which isn't completely faulty, but most of the time I believe perfectionism comes from a place of fear. The fear of being judged, the fear of being rejected, the fear of not being accepted, the fear of not being enough. And perfectionism, most of the time, it's not even about being flawless. It's about having that control over how others perceive us and what we do. And it's often a desperate make to make ourselves seem immune to criticism and judgment. This is why I believe that a lot of times perfectionism can come from a place of insecurity as well, because we're trying to conceal everything that we find faulty within ourselves. And this is why so many perfectionists are chronic overachievers, and why so many successful people still to this day feel like imposters, that whatever they've accomplished isn't worthy of them. And this is why a lot of perfectionists, after one single mistake, will feel like everything they've done is a complete failure and that it's proof of them being worthless, which is not true. So we begin to hide our true selves into a larger image. We conform our past authentic and true selves to conform because let's be real, humans crave connection. We crave belonging and to fit in. And whether most people like to admit this harsh reality or not, it's the truth because we are, after all, social creatures. Perfectionism gives you the idea that love needs to be earned through what you produce, through your output, through your performance. But real love and real connection and real belonging happens in spite of your imperfections, not in the absence of them. Perfectionism, it's like running a marathon, a never ending marathon where the finish line keeps moving farther and farther away, leaving many exhausted, drained, deprived, and empty, chasing a never ending goal. And you know that nagging feeling, the one that holds on to you even after you accomplish something you've been long working towards? That feeling and those thoughts in your head that tell you you don't belong here, that you don't deserve this. And in replacement of feeling pride and accomplishment, you just feel relief or you feel nothing at all. You often will feel relief that the thing you've finished is over with, not proud of something that you've accomplished. And since you don't feel this sense of satisfaction and happiness that you thought you'd get from achieving this external thing, you continue to run the never ending marathon. The marathon where the finish line just keeps moving farther and farther away because of your undying thirst of containing success and holding it. Yet, success isn't necessarily what you're looking for or what you think you want. You think you want success, but what you really want is to feel happy and satisfied within yourself, to feel enough. And to feel enough, you believe that means to achieve all these things. And a lot of people feel like they aren't enough and that they're not enough for other people around them. But the truth is, a lot of times we are more than enough for the people around us. Just we never feel that we are enough for ourselves. And that's imposter syndrome, the syndrome where we have these thoughts in our heads that tell us that our accomplishments and achievements aren't real. And the cruel irony of this all is that more you achieve, the more you accomplish, the louder the voice gets. And this imposter syndrome, ironically, it also hits the hardest in people who seem the most competent, the perfectionists, the high performers. Because when your self worth is built entirely on performing, and always delivering and always impressing, you will rarely have a minute to just acknowledge the accomplishments that you've done and that you've genuinely worked hard to earn these things. So, to validate, and confirmation bias comes in on this, to validate your negative emotions and thoughts, you make up excuses as to why, after all your hard work, you finally accomplished that goal you had, because that's so crazy. The thing is, most people can achieve success and do in their lifetimes, but they never end up being able to internalize it. And this isn't just psychological, it's sociocultural. We see it in clothing, fashion, social media. which are all tools for performing our identity and how we present ourselves to the world. And clothing, accessories, and just styles, they're not necessarily shallow, they're symbolic messages. It shows the few choices we do have and how we do perform ourselves to the world. And this isn't inherently bad, like I said, but it does show us that how we choose to perform and how we choose to appear to the world is it's not private. It's a form of negotiation, a form of communication with others. It's a performance. And masking, which is a key part of this performance. And I think I mentioned it in the beginning a little bit of what it is, but it's just basically when someone alters or hides their natural behavior just to fit into social norms. And it's often unconscious, and most of the time it starts very young. And a child who's told to sit still, make eye contact, or stop being weird begins to suppress the very things that make them the way they are, the things that make them authentically themselves. And over time, this feels like safety. It feels like saving ourselves. Like, oh, if I do this, I'll feel like I belong. If I do this, maybe they'll like me and I'll be accepted. But over time, it just turns into exhaustion, burnout, and feeling drained. It can even lead to depression because performing constantly 24/7, someone who you're not, is very soul depleting. And tragically and unfortunately, masking often leads to people never being seen, which is ironic because wasn't that what everyone wanted in the first place, to be seen? But countless autistic women and girls, especially, end up going undiagnosed for years and years of their lives because their masking was just that good. And oftentimes, if someone does end their life, the common refrain is, but they seem so happy, but clearly they weren't. That person just was really good at performing. And the scary part is a lot of people become so accustomed to this role they've been assigned to. They become so used to performing and masking that they don't even realize they're masking. They truly believe that this is who they are. And they always wonder and ponder, why am I feeling so exhausted? Why do I feel so drained? When you mask so long, the mask begins to feel like your skin, like it's truly you. So before I close the video, let me just say this plainly. Performing, it isn't always fake. Most of the time, it's actually coming out of a place of needing to survive. But we all know surviving is never the same thing as living. And the one beautiful thing about identity is that you can change it. You have a choice. You can choose how you want to present yourself to the world and how you can be a better human being towards others. And I would say the next step one should take is to acknowledge what parts of them are truly them, what parts of them truly reflect who they are, or what parts of their personality is just coming out of that need and want to survive and to fit in. And then asking deeper and harder questions like, who am I underneath all this? Who am I when no one's watching, when the performance and show ends? Because your self worth as a human being is never to be derived from your output of what you produce, what you've achieved, and what you've accomplished. It comes out of more inner things that reflect your inner character, like your relationships with others, your ability to sympathize and empathize, and how you treat other human beings. Because what I am, what the world sees, is not who I am. Who I am is messy. I am human. I am evolving and worthy of love, regardless of my accomplishments and achievements.